I haven't done a live video yet on my YouTube channel, but I'm going to do it here tonight and talk about Corvettes. So I'm not sure how many people we're going to get, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack open one of my favorite beers and just hang out here. And I'm going to start talking about something that people have asked me about a lot. And that is, why did I get a Corvette? And the reason why they asked me that is because I've got a huge history of owning Camaros. I and a business partner of mine, a friend of mine named Chris Frezza. He's got an awesome channel at Chris Frez is his YouTube channel. You should check it out. He does some really cool stuff. We started a site in 1995 called CamaroZ28.com. And for a while, it was the largest Camaro website on the internet. And we ended up retiring from it and kind of pretty much walking away from it after about 15 years of doing that. So, but I've always had Camaros. I've had let's see, I started out with a 1996 Camaro SS, and then I had I had a 2002 Camaro SS. That ended up being a magazine car after I sold it. And then I also had a 2010 Camaro SS that was a SEMA show car. And then before that, like with my dad, we had, an IROC Z, and he had a 68 Camaro drag car that I drove every once in a while. And so I've always had Camaros. And then when it came to buying a new car, I really wanted to get a 5th gen ZL1 because they were on the affordable side. They had great performance, and they still do. But I just wasn't able to find the right one. It was either the color was wrong, or it had a sunroof and I didn't want a sunroof, or it had an automatic transmission, or whatever. It just wasn't right. And then a friend of mine said, "Well, if you considered a C6 Corvette," I'm like, "Not really, no." But he said, "Well, the Z06 has that LS7 in it," and it ended up being kind of the choice. Started looking into them, found out how affordable they were. I mean, you can get a car here that had, give or take, an $80,000 sticker price 8 or 9 years ago for half of what the sticker price was. And I got mine with 9,000 miles on it, and I'm the third owner, so it was really babied its whole life. So I started looking around, and I found this one, and I really enjoy it. As you can tell, I dedicated a whole YouTube channel to it. So that's why I didn't get a Camaro, because I couldn't find the Camaro that I wanted. Had I waited a little bit longer, I could have gotten a Z28 with the same engine in it. Those things are absolutely animals on the track. But the neat part is that the Z06 here, same engine, lighter weight, better balanced. Just doesn't quite have the brakes that the Z28 has. But if I'd waited a little longer, if I didn't find this one, I probably would not have gotten it. I probably would have ended up getting a Z28. But not to say I'm not happy, because I am. I'm very happy, you can tell. I have a lot of fun with this car. The other question I get is, why didn't you get a C7? And to be honest with you, I couldn't afford one. Or my wife wouldn't let me afford one. Probably more the first than the second, but it was something that was on my radar. But I also wanted something that had a lot of power and a lot of potential, and not that the C7 Corvette doesn't, but this is already established. There's tons of parts out there for it. In fact, parts are still being made for it every day, or not every day, but I see new parts being developed for it all the time, and that's what I do on this channel, is I like to showcase it. So. Good old Michigan beer. So that's why I didn't get a C7 Corvette, although I'm extremely envious of the ZR1 numbers. I mean, I also I still do a podcast with my business partner, Chris. We still do a podcast that's syndicated through iTunes called The Camaro Show. And that we've been doing that for over 10 years. So if you like Camaros, by all means, tune in to load up iTunes and find Camaro Show on it and subscribe, or through Google Play or TuneIn or we're syndicated your podcast things. But since I got this car, I realized also that there's no Corvette podcast. So I started Vetcast, which is something that I do on my own. It's a podcast all about Corvettes. So if you listen to podcasts, tune into that as well. Again, on iTunes, Google Play Store, TuneIn, and Stitcher is the other one I was thinking of. So having said all that, obviously I'm very, very involved in Corvettes. I'm very, very involved in the things that are going on with Corvette and the Camaro world. And I see we got a couple of people who joined, so feel free to hit the chat. I don't know if it's on there on your screen or here on your screen, but anyway, hit the chat and ask a question if you want, or just say hello. But let's see here. What else do people ask me about? So let's see. We've gone over why didn't I get a Camaro after I've been a Camaro guy for, well, pretty much my whole life. And then why didn't I get a C7 Corvette? Some people have asked me why I didn't get an LS3 Corvette and supercharge it or put a turbocharger on it. And the answer to that is because my previously mentioned 2010 Camaro SS had a supercharger on it, had a Magnuson blower on it. And then my 1996 Camaro SS, my first Camaro that I had, that had nitrous on it. So I thought this time, you know what, I'm just going to keep it 100% naturally aspirated. At least that was the initial plan. I'm friends with a guy named, you might have heard of him. He goes by the name Nitro Dave. And so I plan to have him as a guest on my Vetcast podcast. But I thought I'd maybe hit this with a 100 shot or so. You never know what I'm working on. But anyway, so that's why I didn't get an LS3 and boosted or anything like that. There's really something to be said for naturally aspirated power. It's the torque curve on this thing is absolutely monstrous, and having that power on demand is really intoxicating, and it's very impressive. Even I've had very fast cars in the past, but this car has so much potential; it's unbelievable. So that's why I didn't get an LS3 Corvette. Let's see here. What else have people asked me? Why silver? Because I've had a lot of black cars and got tired of cleaning them, because I keep my cars very, very clean, and black cars are a nightmare to keep clean. So my last Camaro was my 2010 Camaro, and that was Cyber Gray Metallic, and that was still hard to keep clean. So silver is easy to keep clean, and plus it looks really good with black accessories, which I am. If you see my previous videos that I've released, and you'll see some coming up, I'm kind of adding black things to it. I'm getting rid of the chrome and adding black. Got a question here. What motor mods you like to go with? Well, I've already done the heads and cam. I went with American Heritage Performance, and I got a banner from them, and I meant to hang it on the garage door behind me. But a lot of videos in my channel so far have been about the heads and cam that American Heritage Performance provides. Got the heads fixed. And then the camshaft is their 116 cam. Absolutely love it. Not quite as stout as a lot of cams out there, but this has great driving manners. So got the heads and cam. The car did come with a K&N cold air intake on it that I really like. I like the fitment of it. I think I'm going to make my own custom beehive. If you're familiar with the Haltech, they have something called a beehive, which kind of separates the intake filter with from the intake filter area from the rest of the heat of the engine bay. So I'm probably going to do that. But what I really need is headers. I really need to open up the exhaust. When I put the heads and cam on this and had it dynoed, it was really choked by the factory cats in exhaust systems. So I'm on the hunt for the right header system. I've always been impressed with American Racing. I was going to say American Heritage, but that's the heads and cam company. American Racing headers, but they're just ridiculously expensive. And not that they're not worth it, but they're just really, really pricey. So I'm kind of looking for other alternative headers. I'd like to do a video in the future about headers that are more on the affordable side, that still gives you 90% of the horsepower and has 90% of the quality, give or take. Headers, I don't think I'm going to do anything with the factory exhaust, like, cat back, the muffler system. I've heard that the factory mufflers can support up to like 900 horsepower or something like that. And I don't want to have to deal with drone or anything like that. Plus, I like the valves in it. I like being able to control it. I've got one of the NPP, as they call it, So I like being able to control that because it's always fun just to be able to change the sound of it. Other engine mods, I heard that I think it's Texas Speed. I want to say it's Texas Speed or one of those crazy Texas companies. They're coming out with a new roller rocker for the LS, specifically for the LS7. And I'd like to look into that, should that actually happen. But that was, I think, just a rumor. Let's see, what other motor mods? I got the plug wires. Of course, got to talk about a Nick Williams throttle body and either an MSD intake, probably an MSD intake, or just porting my factory intake and factory throttle body. I mentioned American Heritage Performance earlier. I had really good dealings with them, so I got no problems mentioning them. They also do services like porting the factory throttle body and intake, and I think maybe this winter when the car is down for storage, I'll probably give them a buzz and send my throttle body and intake out to them and just have it ported and call it done. I guess the MSD has some issues with some of the fasteners that hold it down loosening, and people having to constantly retorque them. And that doesn't seem like anything that I'm really interested in playing around with. So let's see here. Other than that, it already makes ridiculous power. I mean, the run flats are just terrible tires, and I cannot get traction on 516, 520, give or take, depending on what dyno you're on. Rear wheel horsepower. I really can't have any fun with the car because those run flats are hard as rocks, and they just don't hook up to save my life. And so I got to get new tires. If I'm going to do anything else first, it's got to be new tires and then the supporting mods. Horsepower range I like to be in. I see, personally for me, I'm not out. I've said this before. I'm not out to set records or win championships. I'm out to have fun with my car. I do want to get to the track and see what it can do just to satisfy my curiosity. I've drag raced since I had my first Camaro when I was 25, and that was a lot longer ago than what you might believe. I see no need to go over 550 to 600 horsepower to the tire on this car. Anything higher than that is just a ding dong measuring competition. And I've already done the horsepower wars, and that's a battle you can't win. So I'm just gonna get the horsepower to a reasonable 550, give or take, to the tire. That'll equate to over 600 at the flywheel, and I think that's more than fair. So that's what I plan to go with. What other questions you got for me, Chris, since you're my only audience member right now? This is my first live. I did mention that, right? It's not bad. I'm thinking about doing this every couple weeks or so, just to have some fun. I'll tell you what I will do while I'm waiting for Chris to say something else, if he or she wants to. Sorry, I can't tell if it's he or she. I've got I got something over here. That. Why do I have my taillights out? Because, yes, Brad, you do have to watch me live. I'm invading your life, buddy. So I put some tint on the taillight, and you can't really tell. I didn't want to go too dark because I don't want anybody rear-ending me because they're paying attention to their phones or whatever. But as part of taillight upgrades, I'm going to be doing a shootout of 3157 taillight bulbs, LED bulbs. The problem is that I wanted to upgrade the taillights to LEDs, and there's just so many choices out there. I've seen things from $50 for a pair of bulbs to $10 for a pair of bulbs, and they look the same. They don't look the same. They're probably they're all from China, as far as I can tell. If there was an American-made 3157 red LED bulb out there, I would love to see it. Anything that's under $50. So what I did is I ordered a bunch of 3157 bulbs, and I did a shootout of them just with using the naked eye and putting them in the back of the car and taking a look at them. And you're going to be surprised at what the outcome is. You're going to be surprised at how well some bulbs performed that you wouldn't think would perform very well compared to some that had more than 3 times the LED chips in them. It's pretty impressive and kind of stunning at how the LEDs stack up. So that's going to be a fun one. I'm trying to think of what else I've got in the wings for future videos. I got a stupid one. I got a stupid video. There's a Brad. I'll get to you in just a second, buddy. There's a cubby hole in the back of the C6 Corvette, and Brad is an old friend of mine right there in the chat. Well, he might be over here on your screen or somewhere down here on your screen. And he knows that I like to keep things really, really organized. In fact, I have people comment on my garage all the time. There's a cubby hole in the back of the Corvette. In the Z06, in all Corvettes, there's two of them, but in the Z06 and the ZR1, the battery is moved to the back, so the battery occupies one of them. But on the other one, it's a cubby hole just for storage and everything. So I like to keep emergency supplies, and you need jacking pucks to jack the car up and everything. So it's like it's got a trap door, and you can drop stuff into it. But I like to organize it so I found a box that a plastic storage box that you can lift right in, and Brad, you'll be happy. It's an ammo box that fits that cubby hole perfectly. As far as I know, I got to run out and buy it, and I'm going to find out. That's probably going to be a short 3-minute video of if you're OCD like I am about your emergency storage and gear in your car. Then this is for you and your C6 Corvette. So. No, Brad, I don't clean the cubby with a toothbrush, but I do have a series of vacuum attachments for vacuuming all of my vehicles that I have. And Brad, since you're here, I want to tell you something. I bought a 1997 Ford Ranger for $400 that needs a clutch, and that might be another video series in the future as I fix that and get it going. So anyway, so like I said, this is my first live. I was just out here sitting in the garage having a beer, and I thought, you know what? I'll do a live and see how it turns out. Chris, Brad, and anybody else who joined, appreciate you coming and hanging out with me. And yes, I do need some help. It's a 2.3 liter 4-speed or 5-speed, 4-cylinder 5-speed, and the clutch is totally gone. But no rust. South Carolina truck, extended cab, 136,000 miles. It had 1-year-old gasoline in it, sat for a year, and needed a key and a battery. So I got a battery and I had a key made, and yeah, it's probably the slave cylinder. That's what everybody kind of tells me. So it needed a key and a battery, and we're going through getting a replacement title from South Carolina because the first one was voided because the seller signed it in the wrong place. So I got a key made and put a battery in it and turned the key, bang, that thing fired, and it ran like it was just started yesterday when it was year old, sitting there for a year. So I'm pretty happy about that. Now I just got to get the clutch and the title, and then that thing will be very, very roadworthy. And I'll probably put some LED taillights in that one too. But whole nother story, not even Corvette related. It's just my friendly way of wrapping things up. So Brad, hope to see you very soon. Next time you're passing through working for the railroad, by all means, give me a buzz. Chris, thank you for joining. And anybody else who did join, this was very, very fun. I'll do this more often. So stay tuned. And yeah, Chris, if you got any questions about those heads, just shoot me a message here, or you could just use the contact information here on YouTube, and I can reach out to you, or just look at my previous videos, and you'll see why I went with what I went with and who I went with, what I went with. I was extremely happy with American Heritage Performance. If you got your heads, if you got an LS7, you need to get your heads done. A lot of companies out there can do it and do it right. And American Heritage is in my book way up at the top. So definitely check them out. Tell them I sent you, and they will take just as good care of you if you didn't tell them. That's the kind of folks they are. All right, I'm going to get out of here, crack another beer, and probably go play with my car in a much more boring manner that's worthy of a live stream here. So everybody have a great night. Be safe. And yeah, and thanks, Brad. Thanks, guys. And we'll see you next time. Subscribe if you haven't already, wherever the subscribe button is on your screen. Heck, I don't even have it on this live stream thing. So this is fun. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you.